So on today's episode of Fathers in Family Court, we'll be talking to Thomas. Thomas is 28 years old. He's calling from Oregon.
So with the abuse, there's actually a story on that. So essentially what happened is there was one evening I had cut her off the money because I said, hey, you're spending too much money and I got to pay the mortgage. I was like, I got to cut you off because I can't afford all these bills. I got to pay the mortgage, I got to pay the power, I got to pay water, sewage, garbage. I got to pay for all this. But she just kept blowing money. I mean, I'm talking like crazy. Mm-hmm. So I cut her off, and she got super mad, and she clenched her fist, and I saw it in her face, and I was like, oh, man, excuse my language, but I was like, oh, shit, she's about to beat the crap out of me. Mm-hmm. Well, on that evening, she hit me so many times. I had lost hearing in both my ears. She broke my nose. She broke my eye sockets in both eyes. She had hit me in the mouth so many times that I actually had holes going through my lip where my teeth had actually went through my lip. And through this entire thing, I sat on the bed, and I did not hit her one time. Keep that in mind. Because like I said, I'm a very passive man. But anyway, so the next day I actually went over to my parents' house, and my dad's like, who beat the shit out of you? I was like, oh, no, it wasn't. I was like, oh, it was nothing, it was just, my girlfriend was mad at me, blah, blah, blah. It's my fault, because I always I always try to take all the blame for it, even though it wasn't really my fault. Even though I blamed myself when it first happened because it was just, I just didn't want any conflict. Mm-hmm. And so my dad was like, no, you got a fist print on your face, a bruise, a fist print on your face. And I'm like, well, I mean, what do I do? He's like, well, go to the doctors. I went to the doctors, and they said that both of my eardrums had been perforated. I had orange liquid draining out of both my ears, and they had to reposition my nose. I had a couple of chipped teeth. It wasn't good. So I eventually told her, I was like, hey, we're done anymore, because that was probably the third or fourth time she had beaten me to that degree. But that was the worst one, because I had lost like 40% hearing in both my ears, and I was like, I can't do this anymore.
That's just dangerous, Thomas. That's dangerous. So can you take me back to that night, Thomas? So after she beat you up, fucking punch you in the head and shit like a lunatic, tell me this, bro. What happened the rest of that night, bro?
I was scared to talk to her, man. Like, I honestly had, like, trauma. I was kind of, like, I don't know, I kind of closed myself off. Like, in my life, I've never done something like that.
Right. You just kind of...
I got really quiet. I think I left the house that night. I think I came back later, and I talked to her about it, and she was crying and saying sorry and saying that she'll never do it again. And I'm just like... what? Like, how would you even do that in the first place? I didn't say it to her because I was afraid of her doing it again. Because you never know.
Right. Right. But, and I want dads out there to listen. Thomas, how tall are you, Thomas?
I'm 6'4".
No, you're not, Thomas. Don't you lie to me like that.
No, I actually am. I'm 6'4". I weigh about 300 pounds. Essentially, after that, I told myself, I was like, it's done. I'm not doing this anymore. So I ended up kicking her out of my house. Well, that's where it started. All right, that is where hell started.
How old was your son at this time?
He would have been around 6 months old at that time.
Okay. And where was he? Was he asleep? What?
Oh, when I was getting punched?
Yeah.
He was, I think someone else was, I think my ex's parents were actually watching him in the other room.
Okay. In the other room? When she was punching you, her parents were there?
Yes. It wasn't good, man. It wasn't a good situation. Her mom came in the room afterwards after I beat, my face is all swollen and bloody, and her mom's like, what'd you do to him? And I'm like, I can't even hear, keep in mind. She blew my eardrums out. And I can see her, and I can sort of hear things, but it's not too good. And her mom's screaming at her, like, why'd you punch him in the face? Why does he look like that? And I'm just sitting there like, I can't hear you. My head is just like, it feels like it's exploding. And I'm just sitting there like, man, like, what just happened? I literally just got the shit beat out of me. I'm just like, man, this is not a good situation. So she gets really, really angry about me kicking her out of the house. Like, she is beyond livid. And I tell her, we're not getting back together. We are done. We're not doing it. We're not getting back together. And she comes over to the house. She's outside on my front porch crying, whatever. And keep in mind, my windows are still blown out from her getting all pissed off at my house, right? I mean, my windows are all blown out. It cost me like $1,200 because it was like $200 a window. I didn't repair the windows yet. Anyway, she comes over, she's crying. I'm like, you see those windows? I was like, you did that like yesterday. And I was like, I'm not doing that again. And So she got really, really pissed off. Well, she took my son and she's like, "You're never seeing him again." And I'm like, "For what?" I was like, "What did I do?" I was like, "You're the one who beat me up." Right? I was like, I've never screamed at you. I have never hit you, nothing. Right? Well, anyway, so I get, like, she doesn't let me see my son for, like, probably 6 months. And, well, anyways, I go to the court and I file something because I haven't seen my son in 6 months because she won't let me see him because she's angry at me. And so, anyways, we eventually go to court. And I tell the judge, I'm like, "Hey, I was like, I haven't seen my son in 6 months. Like, I want to be able to see him." I was like, "I have no criminal record." Keep in mind, I have no criminal record. I have no traffic tickets. I am the cleanest dude ever. I don't drink. I don't smoke anything. So I went to court and I was telling the judge, I was like, "Hey, I just want to be able to see my kid." Well, then they're like, "Oh, well, we got to put you through this program to make sure because your ex is claiming that you have depression." And I'm like, "Well, yeah. I mean, I was in the military. I had some stuff happen. I'm gonna be depressed. I have nightmares from the military. It doesn't make me unsafe to watch my son." I was like, I'm a good dad. I've been watching him for the first half or the first 6 to 8 months of his life. Yep. I was the primary caretaker. There was no abuse. There was nothing, right? And when my ex and our attorney started making up all this stuff in court, saying that, "Oh, he's depressed. Oh, he just the depression and he has anxiety and nightmares." And well, I had to contact an attorney, or not an attorney, I had to contact my therapist to call the courthouse to tell him that, "Oh, no, he's safe to watch his son." But by then, my son was already like a year and a half old, right. And I still hadn't seen my son yet. Like, I just want to be able to spend time with my son. Like, he's 1.5, almost 2 years at this point. I was like, I want to be able to take him to the lake. I want to be able to take him and go play soccer. I want to take him and go swimming lessons or something, like, I want to be a good dad.
Yep.
What hurt me the most is my ex, like, probably a week or two after me and her broke up, she got together with this guy, and she ended up marrying him like a month later after we broke up.
So, hold on. So, you say that she gets with this dude a month later or a week later?
Well, I find out about him a week later.
Okay, so when she punched you out and did all that extra shit, she was already fucking with that motherfucker.
Yeah, the thing was, she was constantly like accusing me of cheating on her, and I'm like, "I haven't ever cheated with this. I've never cheated."
Hey, bro, the cheating chicks accuse motherfuckers of cheating the most, bro. They do it the most, bro.
Then one day she comes up and tells me that, "Oh, well, the other guy is now the dad. And he's been calling the other guy dad for a while." I'm like, "Well, what about me? I've been fighting for this, for my son for months." I was like, "What about me? Like, I'm the dad. I wanted to be there. I'm a good father. I have nothing wrong with me to be able to see my son." Yep. It was just, I couldn't believe it. I honestly couldn't. I was like, I cannot believe this is happening to me right now. All right, so after that, this is where things get really crazy. Mm-hmm. So this is where things get. This is where judges get involved. This is where police get involved. This is where things get real.
Because you never pressed charges or anything for her whooping your ass. You just kicked her out.
No. I just kicked her out. The reason is because I didn't want my son growing up with his mom in prison. All right, like, I didn't want him to get that view and think that's okay. Right. All right. I wanted to completely avoid that. I wanted him to think, "Oh, he has good parents. They're both safe." Because I wanted him to be mentally safe and mentally sane and in a healthy environment. That was my 100% goal. I didn't want him to be in a bad situation where his parent was in prison. In hindsight, that never leads to anything good.
In hindsight, do you wish you would have had called the police and put her in jail that night?
Yes. So after that, so we went to court, and there was one day I was in court, and I got on my hands and knees in court. And I remember, you're in front of a judge. I got on my hands and knees, and I looked at the judge straight in his eyes, and his name was Judge Hoppy in Southern Oregon. I got on my hands and knees in front of this judge, and I begged for my son's life in front of this judge because I feared that my ex was going to kill my kid. My son. I thought she was going to kill him. I honestly did.
Why did you think that? Because my child's mom threatened to kill my kids all the time, bro. Like, literally all the time. It was really weird to me. And I was telling as many people as possible, and like no state officials was doing shit.
So from when she had beaten me before, my son started coming home with bruises similar to the stuff I used to have. My son had bruises from his back of his kneecap all the way up to his neck. And I was during a pickup one day, because I finally got time with my son, finally. I was getting 6 hours a week. And there was one time I went to go pick him up, and my son, like I said, had bruises from his knee all the way up to his neck. And I asked him, I was like, well, where'd the bruises come from? I mean, it was severe bruising, like my face, right? Like I got beaten. And they're like, oh, it was from a car seat. And even in court, they admitted it was from a car seat. And I'm thinking, there's no way a car seat is going to give a kid severe bruising, black, bloody bruising from his back, from his lower legs all up to his neck. There's no way.
Right.
There's no way. So they admit, my ex and her family, they all got on the stand, and they all told the judge, oh, we think it was the car seat that did it.
Car seats don't give bruises? What the fuck?
That's what I'm saying. That's why this is so messed up, because I had warned the judge ahead of time. And that's why I was in court begging. I was like, they're going to kill my kid if this keeps happening. They're going to do something wrong. Something's going to happen. I was like, I don't know what's going to happen, because I can't be there to save my son. I told the judge, I looked him in the eyes, I got my hands in the eyes, and I told him, she's going to kill my kid. If this goes on, she's eventually going to kill my 2-year-old son. And then 2 days after Thanksgiving 2017, it was like November 27th or 28th of 2017, I get a call from my parents, and they say that my son, or my ex, had called my parents and said that my son was on the way to the hospital. My son was at the hospital, and they shipped him, or airlifted him up to Dornbecker's Child Hospital up in Portland, Oregon. So I drove up there, and I asked the hospital staff, I was like, is there anything up with this? And the hospital staff were like, there's something wrong with this. Your ex, the mother, is acting really weird. They're like, there's something wrong with her. The way she's acting, she's like laughing and stuff and having a good old time. I'm like, and they're like, then the hospital staff told me that they never, ever see people laughing or having a good time when their child is on their deathbed, dying from an unknown substance that got shoved down their throat. All right. And that's what happened. No one knew what he swallowed. Well, the thing is, my ex wouldn't even let me in my son's room, because she was scared of what I would find. She wouldn't let me take pictures of him. She wouldn't let me, hold his hand. She wouldn't let me lay with him in the bed. And then she even told the staff at the hospital. I have this all on record, by the way, in case anybody else, in case anybody wants to look at my guy. It's really bad. But anyway, so my ex had told the staff at the hospital that she didn't want me in the room. She didn't want me anywhere near my son. She didn't want me to visit. She didn't even let me see him, right, on his deathbed. And keep in mind, remember, I'm not a bad guy. I had no criminal record, nothing.
Nothing.
Well, on December 2nd, 2017, my 2.5-year-old son ended up passing away from a lack of oxygen to his brain because something got stuck in his throat, in his right bronchial tube, and it ended up being the cap and needle of a syringe. So my son somehow, while at my ex's house, somehow got...
And this bitch was at the hospital high.
Yes. She told the hospital, oh, I don't want an autopsy. And I was telling the hospital, I need an autopsy. I need to know what happened to my son. I didn't know how he died. Right? Because I was like, I just want to know how he died. I was like, if her or her husband did something, I need to know about it. If they killed him, I need to know. As a father, you want to know how your kid died. If your kid was murdered, you want to know. Well, anyway, so it took me 2 months. I had to fight my ex in court for my son's remains, just to be able to get an autopsy of him for him, right? I fought 2 months. I spent thousands of dollars just to get the rights to do an autopsy for my son's body, because my ex did not want an autopsy because she was scared of what I'd find in his body. Well, anyway, so the autopsy ended up coming back after I'd won the autopsy report, or the rights to an autopsy. And the autopsy guy came back and said that he found the syringe. And he's like, well, can you show me a picture of it? He's like, this is the syringe. And he's like, well, from the looks of it, it doesn't look like it was forced down. But he says he doesn't know because there's not really much evidence there. We just have, the the needle part of a syringe plus the cap.
Yeah.
That's all we have. He's like, there's no fingerprints, there's nothing on it, so we don't know how he got it or how it ended up in his throat. And then the police department in my area was like, well, we can't do anything about it because a syringe is just like a penny. A child could pick up a syringe and swallow it any day. And I'm thinking in my head, no, a syringe is different than a penny. And the thing is, I didn't even know my ex was doing drugs. You know, I'm a clean guy. I don't drink and nothing.
Dog, and that's where all your money was going. This bitch was going off and getting big high with your cheese. And the minute he cut you off, you was just really just there to keep getting her and that motherfucker. She was coming back bringing him cheese. She was probably bringing him cheese. He was giving her good drugs, and you know the rest of the story. And then when he cut the line off, they got probably mad as hell. You know what I'm saying? You cutting off the money, you sound like a drug addict who lost their line to the drug.
Yeah.
But you begged this human being, and you got on your actually physically hands and knees, which is on record, possibly on video.
Yeah, it is. I actually have a recording of it, of me crying in court, begging for my son's life.
You have to live with this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and it's not easy, man.
And
like,
I understand.
It gets to you, man. Like, it's not easy. Like, the stuff your brain goes through on a daily basis when someone does that to your child, it puts you into some really scary places. For real. It puts you into a scary place.
I can't believe it. Like, this little kid swallows a syringe. You know what I mean? He swallows a syringe. He dies because they're getting high on heroin. This lady should be in prison right now.
Should be.
Yeah, but she's walking around free. She killed a kid getting high, chasing a dog instead of being a mother.
So after my son was pronounced dead, I was trying to schedule a meeting with the judge because I was not very happy with him. Because I wanted to go and give him a piece of my mind and say, hey, like, you need to do something for me. You screwed me over, Well, he didn't want to see me for some reason.
Oh, some reason. That's because he cost your son his life, and he laughed at you when you was begging him, and it's on record on camera.
Yeah.
He's a killer.
Yeah. Well, this is how I got him to meet up with me finally. So I told the lady down in the court, or his court assistant, I called her at the courthouse, and I said, hey, I'm going to give you guys two options. I was like, I just lost my kid, and I'm not in a good mindset. I was like, I can be completely civil. I can be nice. We can have a civil conversation in court. Or if I have to find him in public, I will, and I promise you it won't be good. I was like, my kid just died, and it's his fault. Yeah. I was like, I want to meet up with him. I was like, if you guys don't do this, I will find him. Yeah. I was like, I ain't fucking around. I was like, he killed my kid. He helps kill my kid. I am not, excuse my language, but I'm not fucking around. Yeah. They killed my kid. So that day, like an hour later, I get a call from the judge saying that we'll have a meeting the next day at 9 a.m., right? Yeah. So the next day, I need to go to the court, and I start having this conversation with the judge. Well, the judge tells me that he can't talk about the case at all because of whatever. He can't talk about it because of fear of legal action or whatever, right? Well, then I eventually start having other conversations with him outside the court. And then he tells me this. He says that he cannot talk about things because he knows he is fully responsible for it, and that if he talks, he will lose his house, he will lose his job. And I told him, I was like, dude, you did it. It's your fault.
Bro, your job is to be honest and to fucking stand on truth, and you took fucking votes to sit in this spot and to do a job and to fucking be noble and to be honorable. That's what the fuck you stood for, bro. That's what the fuck you put on your chest. Nobody told you to run. Nobody told your ass to put your name on the ballot. Nobody told you to be the quarterback. This is a job you took. Now, fucking, you don't get a chance to be like, hey, now that I've been holding all these people to all these strict standards, and now I fucked up and cost our kid his life because I didn't want to fucking listen. I wanted to chase Title IV money because, hey, I have a question. Did you have to pay child support?
I did, yes.
Tell me right now that you know about Title IV Section D.
I don't know about it at all, no.
Now, this is really getting ready to piss you off. This is going to piss you off. And I promise I'm going to let you finish, but we have to talk about this.
Okay.
Listen, Title IV Section D was put onto our Constitution in 1975, okay? Now, what this does is it incentivizes it incentivizes states like yours and mine to put dads like you and me on child support. Now, the reason why they want to put us on child support is because for every $1 that is paid in child support, the state of Oregon was getting back 66 cents, okay? Now, if the mother of your children, who was a heroin addict, so I'm pretty sure she was on state aid of some form.
She was.
Oh, yeah. So if they're on state aid, look, check this out. The state of Oregon was getting back up to $5 for every $1 you paid. How much in child support did you pay, Thomas?
A lot. I don't know the exact number, but it was a lot.
Give me a ballpark, Thomas.
Oh, here, I have the paperwork. Hold on. Look.
Fucking.
It's about 40 grand. Roughly, it's like 42 grand.
Wait. No, I'm talking a month. Did you pay?
Oh, like how much I paid a month?
Yeah.
Paid about $3,000 or $3,200 a month.
3,000 for one kid?
One kid.
So, do you understand why you were paying all that money?
I do now.
Okay, now listen. Every time you put $3,200 into that machine, you know how much Judge Hoppy was getting back?
Probably a lot.
$16,000.
Dude.
In free funding.
Sworn in yesterday morning. What was that process like? I imagine it was emotional.
Yes, it was. And actually, I was sworn in yesterday afternoon, and my father was the one who performed the ceremony.
Is that right?
Yes.
Now, was that something you were able to, I assume you were able to organize that yourself?
Absolutely. I looked at the requirements under the statute, and my father was able to comply with the requirements, so he swore me in as judge. Well, it's true. I've been a player for almost 20 years now. I'm ready to be a referee. I will let the players play, the attorneys will do their job, and I will do my role. I see a court as a forum for justice, and I just play a role in that forum. Make sure the proceedings are done in a legal, efficient manner, and let the attorneys make their case, or the parties make their case.
Mm-hmm. And as you said, 20 years, what made you want to be a judge? You're tired of the game and you want to do the refereeing? Is that
no, actually not tired of the game. It was an opportunity to do something where I thought I would have a greater effect on more lives.